Visit flexsmart.gov.
Hello, it's Thursday night. Welcome to Femme Forum. What is Femme Forum? We are a politically progressive talk show with a feminist edge. I'm your host, Chyrisse, and we have, of course, another exciting show, a very special show today, too. But first off, I want to remind everybody, save public access. Public access, what you're seeing right now on TV, may be gone after October. What you need to do is email, call, whatever, our county commissioners. There's going to be a meeting coming up in September 5th. This should be going all day. We'll be putting information on the screen for you, too, as far as contact information. And just implore everybody how much you enjoy watching public access. This is our only time that we have freedom of speech that's uncensored, unfiltered, unlike the media that we normally watch. So anyway, I want to introduce our guest tonight. We have Lieutenant Colonel Kim Heartsong down from North Carolina. You came down just to see us. And we're going to do a show tonight on women in the military, and what better than a lieutenant colonel? And right off the bat, I want to talk about her medals. So you've got all these medals here. Tell us, people should know, what do they mean?
Okay, well, I've retired from the military. Just to clarify, I'm not currently still serving.
Okay, you're retired.
Yes, right. And the medals I have here are the Liberation of Kuwait from the First Gulf War, humanitarian service when we helped the Kurds after an avalanche in Turkey. This is armed services service for Saudi Arabia. And my 20 years of service, basically accumulated all of them. Southwest Asia Service Medal, that was for Provide Comfort as well.
You've been around the world.
Storm. Yes.
She's been around the world.
Yes, and then, and this is the new one, Global War on Terror, since 9/11.
Oh, wow.
That's one of the ones that those that are serving now all have either participated in or are working towards. So, and then the rest of them are just your national defense, good conduct, and then achievement, commendation, and meritorious service.
Well, this is actually an open talk show, and we do have people call from Tampa Bay, so we'll open up the phone lines for that. But I hope you all that do the prank calls every week, I hope you will respect that we have a veteran here from the military. So keep it clean, please.
That's all right. I'm sure I've heard it.
Oh, I'm sure you have too. And I've heard it for like 2.5 years now. I mean, all the insults and stuff. But, just tone it down.
All right.
Anyway, there's so much to talk about. We're going to talk about sexual harassment.
Yes.
Women in the military. I mean, I've been reading about all this sexual harassment. I've been reading about rapes that have been going on. What's it like to be in the military?
Well,
and a woman.
Yes. Let me start by saying when I served the Gulf War, the first Gulf War, when we were deployed in tents, the tent cities would be established, and you would have either male or female tents. You would not have us all in, intermixed.
So it's segregated.
Right. So it is segregated, although within the same compound. So, your next door neighbor tent could be female, all female versus all male. The biggest thing on the harassment is you have to realize that the numbers, the largest thing over there is just a mass quantity of servicemen. And although now we've got about 20% women, then we had about 15%. So one woman deployed out of, say, 200 men. So you have a higher ratio of male to female, and then you would have, you know, does she like me, does she not like me, and you also...
Are the women single mostly or married?
Well, at the point when I went, a lot of them were single because we were either divorced because men didn't want to be married to women in the military.
Because you get shipped around a lot.
Correct. So a lot of the women that I did deploy with there were single, and although we did have a few married that did have children, the children usually were staying with their parents when they deployed.
So it'd be the grandparents, I mean.
Correct, the grandparents.
Would be raising the kids.
The kids of the ones deployed. So it's an extended family demand that maybe didn't exist before women were in full force. And some would actually argue that's a reason why women should not be in the military. There are a lot of male spouses that do not serve, that are civilians, and what happens is they have a tendency to be frowned upon, as in, oh, they must be a pussy because they're the man and their
like
wife is
stay
at
war.
home.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
That's like a double standard, isn't it?
It is an extreme double standard. So it's hard for the men who are married to women, and you know, I'm divorced
It's
twice.
like she's wearing the pants or whatever.
Exactly. So what happens is they get abused by the servicemen. You know, say you have a Christmas party from the, you know, your job, and they're like, well, what's it like to, you know, have her, you know, spank you or something, and
oh
you know,
my God, they make jokes
horrible,
like that.
Absolutely.
They razz
you know, what's it like to ask for your allowance from the boss, and
that is
you know,
so rude.
it demeans them, and they're men. They have egos. So what happens is a lot of times the men suffer, even though they want to be supportive of their spouse because they love their spouse. In essence, it's a double standard that causes additional stress. The stress of me working with men all day, and then I come home and at the dinner table I'm saying, well, John did this and Bob did that and Steve did this, and what happens is they're, you know, they have their own jealousies or, you know, fears. So it is a very hard balance that women have been put into, you know, not just in the military, but in corporate America as well. Uniquely, that, you know, when you deploy, you're surrounded by hundreds of men, and your husband may be at home saying, well, is she screwing around?
Would he be jealous?
On
I was
me?
going to say,
you know,
yeah.
is she going to find someone she likes better than me because she has a, you know, choice of hundreds of men? And one of the hard realities is, like you said, the harassment is our living conditions. Sometimes the tents, when you have tents, you don't have a bathroom in your tent. You have porta-johns, basically.
Oh, wow.
So you would walk out of your tent to a porta-john. And some of the things that
we were talking about before.
Absolutely, that women can be, you know, assaulted or raped as they're going to the porta-john because you have to go. So something that did come up a lot when I was deployed.
Well, Janice Karpinski is the one who kind of brought this out into the open.
Absolutely.
That the women were dying. Some women died from dehydration because they were holding their urine, and plus when you're out in the heat and everything.
Yes. And we also were getting bladder infections too.
UTIs.
Yeah, the heat over there is something to actually talk about. One of the things, you know, this funny story, when I was deployed to Saudi Arabia, my job, in fact, in the military was to run aircraft maintenance for a fleet of aircraft. So I tried to maintain some of my femininity as a young lieutenant, and I would polish my toenails red. And I'm wearing combat boots with steel toes, and the concrete ramp was running somewhere 100, 105 air temperature, and the ramp would run about 115, 125.
Wow.
So the, you know, first week I'm over there deployed, I'm out on the ramp with the planes. I come home after, you know, after a day of work, and my toenail polish has melted into my socks.
That is hot.
That's
that
what
is
you're
hot.
talking about. So that was when I, you know, I had to go back to work, get a gallon of acetone from the tool room to soak my toes off my socks. But you know, you think about the things you want to maintain your femininity.
Right. We were talking before the show, your clothes. You said sometimes they don't make clothes for women. You have to wear men's clothes.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So in, let's see, I came in '87. And we changed from the green fatigues, which were actually female fatigues, the kind you used to see if you ever saw MASH or whatever, the plain green. They had women's, they had darts for our boobs, you know, and they had a waist for women with hips.
So they went in,
yes. So they actually made you look like a woman.
Did you have to wear skirts?
Well, we did have that too.
Okay.
We had an option of pants or skirts. But in the fatigue, which is your utility uniform, they changed it to the camouflage that we know now as a BDU, battle dress uniform, or the DCU, the desert dress uniform. So what happens is, you know, they wanted to save money because making, you know, button this way or button this way. We went to all men's uniforms.
Let's just chintz on the women's uniforms.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's only them, you know.
So again, now, you know, maybe it's not so aggravating, but after, you know, 18 years of button on the wrong side of your clothes or whatever.
That's true. That like men's.
You're wearing men's clothes, and you know, you wear men button fly with the flap because, you know, I don't have equipment down there.
Yeah.
So so what happens is when you don't have equipment down there to hide, there's no need to have the little thing to hold it in. One of the examples, we just got new running shorts for our, you know, physical fitness training, and they made the shorts and they made this little pouch thing. Well, because we wear men's uniforms, we had to wear them. So
like to put your balls.
Yes, exactly. So I went to the tailor, the dry cleaner, and I said, "Hey, I need you to tailor my running shorts." And she was like,
I never thought about
She says, "Well, why would you do that?" And they had like a mesh bathing suit inside, men's bathing suit. I said,
they do.
I cut the mesh out, right? And then I said, I grabbed my crotch. I said, I want this ball sack cut off. So,
oh, jeez.
So, yeah. So anyway. Oh, there's...
well, there were, but they dropped off.
Okay. So one of the things to think about is not just that you're surrounded by men and you're working alongside of men, but you are forced to wear their clothes, which doesn't fit, and then you always kind of look messy. My challenge was, why can't the military do the dress for success? Because dress for success has been proven that, you know, you can be, instead we look like duffel
Gives
bags.
You pride. Heck, even Walmart is upgrading their clothes.
Exactly,
I mean, come on, if Walmart can do it.
So, yes.
Let's take some calls.
All right.
All right.
And
remember, we have caller ID. If it says private or wireless, we're cutting him off. So please call from a regular phone. Well, they dropped off. Hello there. It's private. Don't do private.
Okay.
Let's do another one.
Just
because we get a lot of prank calls, and I know if it's private.
People can feel free to call in and ask any question.
Hello
about
there.
the
Oh, you're a
military.
real person. Hello there.
Hello, how are you doing?
Hi.
First of all, I would like to say to Lieutenant Colonel Heartsong, is it?
Yes.
My very best, and I'm very glad that you ladies are serving the military over there.
Woohoo! Thank you.
And as a matter of fact, I would love to see a woman president.
Could you turn your TV down, please? There's some static.
Yeah,
okay,
I
there you go.
Turn down. But I would love to see a woman president one day. I've got a question I'd like to ask you, though. Given your status, how are you received among the women and men over there, wherever that you're stationed at, say in the Middle East or something like that, of another country?
Well, good question. An example, and we were talking earlier, I said one of the harshest places was Saudi Arabia because it's very restrictive for how women are treated. Oops. So one of the things that was different over there is, even though I was the one at that point that was in charge and I had 30 mechanics with me, I had to walk behind my mechanics. I had to sit in the back of the bus. The Saudi men would spit on us, spit on the women.
Oh my God!
Yeah, and it's pretty nasty because you think, you know, stuffing saliva is nasty.
Yeah.
Anyway. But
that's so disrespectful.
Well,
I mean,
to them, I was being disrespectful because I was walking as if I were an independent man in the country.
Tell me the kind of things they would tell you.
They would
these
call
insults.
You know, they'd kind of look you up and down and go, "You Yankee slut, pig, Madonna whore," and they'd spit on you. And the spit is that basically
disrespect you.
Well, it's disrespect,
like
and
you're low.
You're contaminated. You're beneath them, as in, you know, you disgust me. It's kind of like in America, if I came up and I, you know, flipped you off and you know, I called your mother bad names or something, the spitting on it's a form of being able to hit me without hitting me. You know, so
well, it's disgusting. It grosses you out.
Well, I'm thinking,
what
did they have in their mouth before they,
Lord knows.
lose it on me? So yeah,
camel or something. I don't know what the hell they were chewing on.
Yes,
over there. So
I mean, in that country, now the opposite. When we went over and liberated Kuwait, we were in Kuwait City at the international airport, and one of the things is after Saddam was pushed back and Kuwait was freed, the Kuwaitis would come up and grab our uniform and sleeve and kiss us and say, America, America, we love you, America. So, another Muslim culture, as in the Kuwaitis, were appreciative because they knew we were only there to help. Whereas Saudi Arabia is so strict in their Muslim belief that they can't see past a cooperation because, I shouldn't be there as a woman.
Well, I know in Iraq we're not getting kissed.
No, we're not getting kissed in Iraq. Actually,
we're getting IEDs thrown at us.
We had talked about that. I think there's a couple
what do you
things.
think about Iraq? Do you think that we should bring the troops home now? Or and you're a veteran,
right? And Iraqi freedom and the whole post 9/11 thing. It's not just Iraq, and I don't need a soapbox or geography lesson, but we're in Afghanistan, Pakistan, and all the different ones. And I came off active duty in June of this year.
Oh,
so,
this is just recent.
Right, this is very
so you
recent.
just recently retired.
Right. So what happened is the media likes to focus on Iraqi freedom because the name says Iraq. It's not necessarily that.
And freedom to me is Orwellian. I'm sorry. We're not freeing them. We're making nice military bases there.
So the question would be, if we pull out now, I mean, if you were to think of right here in Tampa, if another country came in, let's say the country's name was Purple Land, and Purple Land decides to come to Tampa and go door to door and pull you out and say, who are you, what do you do, and what are you hiding? Well, after a while, even after you realize that there may be a need for that, it gets a little old, because then the people in these countries, they go back to work. They have their kids in school. Even though there's bombs going off and there's tanks in the street, they try and live a normal life. Sometimes what happens is the military presence, although the intent is to help build the infrastructure and all,
but
and
we're
help.
Interfering now.
Right, I think sometimes
in their daily lives, they don't want us there.
Right.
They want us to leave.
Yes.
But of course, we're building the biggest embassy in the world right now.
Right.
Who is going to go to this embassy?
Well, and
I wouldn't want to go.
The question is, when we established Kuwait free, and we helped them. It would be no different if your car broke down and I helped you. That doesn't mean I'm going to get in the car and go home and live with you. It means I helped you in a time of need. So what happens sometimes from a political stance is, and we do have elections every 4 years, is that sometimes the posturing of politics for America, and again, I'm not giving a political Rambo speech, but
I say go for it. Go for it.
Sometimes what we do is we hold the military presence as a hostage because it's a good leverage for a vote, or it's a good leverage for some bigger political reason, versus what truly is the purpose of Iraq and what truly of all of those, Afghanistan, Pakistan.
I want to take a call, but first I want to ask quickly about voting. You said military people vote absentee, and they don't normally count them. Tell the people about that.
In the military, it's very, we fight for freedoms for America, so voting is one of our freedoms.
That's right.
So one of the things that is very popular in the military is to make sure that everyone has the right to vote, and that is usually through absentee ballot, because many of us don't live in our home states and may be deployed or away. So you mail your ballot in, and I was saying during the election where Gore
you said
and
the 2001
Bush,
that they actually counted.
Right, they had to count
because it was so
votes.
close. Yeah.
Right, and all the other elections that I mailed in my votes, basically those absentee ballots go uncounted because the elections weren't that close. It was very frustrating not to feel that you were making an impact on your own country. So we could do electronic voting. We have email secure, and they're afraid, I think, because we're a massive voting force. And I know everyone thinks because you're in the military you're Republican. Honestly, I would say maybe 50%. The other 50% are split independent
I'm glad you cleared
Democrats.
that up. I'm glad you cleared
Because,
that up.
I mean, I realize that Republicans in the past, I mean, the lines are very not muddied right now. The Republicans in the past, yes, have treated the military very well, you know, but the Democrats, I mean, look under Clinton. Look how well we did under Clinton. That was, you know, 8 years on the Democratic side. So one of the things to think about is that the massive amount of Americans that are in uniform would be, you know, basically I think they would woo us for a vote if they knew we would count. So that might make a difference. I don't know.
Well, let's take this call here. They've been waiting for some time, and then we'll continue. And we want to talk more about Save Public Access people.
Yes.
Channel 10 was here last night when we were doing The Buzz, which is another great show you need to watch on Wednesday nights. And if you want to look up on the internet, look under Channel 10 and you can see the little segment. Here it goes. Hello there. Sorry, you're wireless. I won't take you if you're wireless because we're always getting prank calls.
Okay.
So if you have a regular phone, please call us. I want regular people to call. Okay. So,
you know, we
talked about so much before.
I know, we really did.
It's
it
like
was fun.
A list of stuff too. I wanted to know about birth control and condoms and all that
that's
stuff.
a good one. Actually, one of the things, and for the most part, I was single for most of my time in the military, and birth control is common. You know, birth control pills, condoms, you know, all the different other, you know, diaphragms you can get fitted for. So one of the things to think about is that it's not necessarily that it's forced upon you, it's not. But they do ask what your birth control preferences are and what you could use. And if you are deployed, then they give you enough, like say you have birth control pills, they give you enough pills to take with you. So,
now, if a soldier gets pregnant when she's on duty, let's say she's not married or whatever,
okay,
can she have an abortion?
Well, see, not on the military service. No, no. Now, women have had abortions, and they usually go to the normal abortion clinics in wherever they're at.
But I wonder if you're in Saudi Arabia. Come on,
you're in trouble then because
you know,
there's nothing really there. Yeah. So one of the things that you need to think about is how they finance our budgets and things. Medical care. When I first came in the service, we had medical care, which meant I got sick.
So 20 years ago.
You gave me whatever I needed to get me healthy again, to get me back out. Then we switched to the same version of an HMO. It's called TRICARE now. And so it's basically the same as a mirror image of a civilian HMO. And we have a primary care provider. Well, their purpose is to keep the budget down. So if there's a way, a cheaper way, as in, you know, give everyone Motrin and send them back to work, we call it vitamin M. Just get your vitamin M, go back to work. You know.
So they're chinsing on the soldiers there. They just give them a over-the-counter pill, basically, and you're on your way.
Anything that's generic is what we prefer. They go to the preference of generic, and then if there's, you know, choices between more expensive, say surgery or something, they'll try less expensive ways. Now, that doesn't mean that it's, you know, always that way. There are times where you have, you know, surgeons on staff, and they do great things, like they repair us. You know, a lot of times you have broken bones, broken body parts, and they'll put you back together. But I think what happens is when, you know, I called it the bullets for whatever. Okay. I see it on the screen there.
I don't have glasses, so I can't.
Bush's increasing military presence but decreasing funding. And hey, that's actually, that's something we didn't talk about.
That's a good point, yeah.
The way Congress controls how many people are in uniform. So there is a number. So you cannot exceed that number. So each service has that.
There's no problem. I mean, there's problem with recruiting nowadays, right?
But what
they're taking anybody, too.
The Army needed more number to move. So in order to get some numbers in the Army, you have to downsize other services. And the Air Force, my service, in fact, was one of them. We had 4,000 lieutenants get a pink slip In 30 days, they were out of the service.
You're kidding. I thought there was such a shortage of soldiers.
Well, the shortage of soldiers in the Army.
Oh, but not in... So it depends on what branch you're in.
Yes, because when they want more Army, they have to take either Navy, Marines, or Air Force down.
But people can switch, right? You could go from Air Force to Army or whatever.
In fact, a little plug, there's a program, if you are in blue uniform, as in Air Force or Navy, you can actually join the Army. It's called From Blue to Green. If you're interested in any of the services and joining each service, you can go in like Army.com or AirForce.com, and they have their websites up where you can, kind of see what's in there, what kind of jobs are there, and then give a list of recruiters. And worst case, if you don't have all that, you have the standard yellow page book. There's a section of blue pages usually that are government section that will have all your military in there.
Now, I know lately they've been accepting people up through their 40s, correct?
Absolutely. They're wavering ages, and the Army has upped that. Traditionally, you had to be in the service, the basic training, by age 30. And then they would waiver, like say you were in the Reserve or the National Guard, they would waiver up to 32, and if you were a specialist, like say an engineer or something, up to 35. Now the medical field, like if you're, say you're a doctor in the community, or a nurse, or a med tech, or an x-ray tech, or a dental, you can actually go from your civilian job right into uniform at an appropriate rank to your skill.
So you would be an officer?
Absolutely. So let's say you were, you're a surgeon on the civilian side, but you just want to go serve your country and shake it up a little bit and deploy. You can come in and be part of a MASH unit, and you would come in, like say, as a captain or whatever.
Let me ask you something. It's been in the news a lot lately. We didn't talk about it before the show. Pat Tillman. What do you think about that? I mean, what they came out in the news this week is that there were 3 bullets through his forehead, like he was executed, basically from 10 yards away. And yeah, that was the latest that just came out. And remember when Pat Tillman first went in, they made him into a soldier, I mean a hero, because he was a football player, and he took a big pay cut because he really felt patriotic. He wanted to go serve his country. But then he became disgruntled when he was there. He said, we shouldn't be in this, quote, effing war. And he was writing letters back and forth, and he was reading Noam Chomsky, and he was really getting into the peace movement. And the next thing you know it, he's gone. He's history.
Well, I'll make an analogy on that. During the Vietnam War, there was something called fragging. They would take grenades and throw them under the beds of the sleeping officers that were basically doing the same thing, where they were not either smart about leading their people, or they were, deviating. So what would happen is they would blow them up and frag the officer so they get a new one. One of the things that happens when you come in with some popularity, I think...
Well, he had celebrity status.
Yes, you remember Elvis Presley was a celebrity.
That's right.
And he
50s.
Went in the service.
Yeah, he went to Germany.
Yes, and he served. And we've had other football players that have come in, especially, since the Gulf War, some baseball players and things. Well, what happens is, you separate them from their previous fame. You have to understand they're a human being on top of it, and they have, as public access gives you freedom of speech and all. Well, in the military, granted, we still have our freedom of speech, but we have a structure that we work within. So if you're in a deployed unit and there's hostility, or there's dissension among the troops, sometimes people will take matters into their own hands because they feel at that moment in time like Tillman was a threat to whatever.
Well, because he was a celebrity, and if he were to come back to the United States, and he's for the peace movement, that would be detrimental to the so-called war on terrorism. And that's why they burned his uniform, and they burned his diary.
That was true hate crime.
And they told everybody that it was friendly fire. They lied. And I guess the orders were from way above.
I think what happens to, we talked about the military, it's kind of a cross-section of society. So if you think about that, we get people who are good people who are bad, people who, may be serial killers, may have, aggressive issues or something. So one of the things that happens is when you're put in a pressure cooker where you're being shot at, you're being, mortared every day, your stress level, then, you tolerate less and less and less. And if you're in the middle of a war and one of your own is starting to say, well, we just need peace, we just need peace, it causes dissension. And I think, not necessarily that it's right or wrong, because, I know we've had discussions when I was deployed about, why are we here?
Exactly.
Yeah, why are we here? So some of the things to think about is that the people who are in the service aren't necessarily, angels. They're not pure people of, they have the same issues as anyone else.
Mental problems,
yes,
or Lord
exactly.
knows what.
And you have
It's blinking, boy. Let's blinking. Let's see. Hello there. You're on the air.
Hello?
Yeah, turn your TV down too, please.
Hello?
Hi, you're on the air.
Okay, I want to talk to Joe.
Oh, talk to Joe. There's another show that's on at the time. They always want to call and talk to Joe. They've probably been hanging on for 30 minutes wanting to talk to Joe. Sorry.
Guy.
Hello there.
Yes, can I talk about, the government?
That's kind of what we're talking about, military.
Yeah. So, I don't know, I want to fuck your big fat bitch.
Okay. So I'm not taking a wireless call again. I took the chance with taking a wireless call. You're a pig. Here we are with a lieutenant colonel who's retired, and you have to call and say something like that. I'd like to see you get your little butt over there into Iraq, I tell you. I mean,
they could take that hostility out over there.
Yeah. Let's see how that goes. I mean, here she is with medals, and you're a real pig for saying something like that. So anyway, we'll try again. There's a lot of men here that don't like to see women in power.
I know. And that's a big frustration, and I've dealt with it.
They want to bring you
career.
down, and
Yes.
I've been getting insults.
Well,
for a
and
long time.
actually, we could talk about that for a minute.
Okay.
One of the things that we mentioned when I first came in as a lieutenant, and I arrived at my first station, my supervisor basically made it very clear that I would have to give him a blowjob in order to get my evaluation.
Oh my God!
So. I wasn't exactly ready for that, and kind of like that caller where you're not expecting someone to come out with something.
You're like shocked,
and you're kind of like
stunned.
Right. So then you think about it. Who do you have to go to? You are now a single female imported into an organization,
and if that's your boss,
you know no one. Well, he's my supervisor. The commander is the next.
Yeah.
So I went, okay, it's my first week here. Do I go to my boss and go, he just said he needs a blowjob. I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
If this is the way you work, we have
the job
issues,
description.
Right? Yeah. So I kept it to myself. I didn't know who else to go to. I only worked with all men.
But he could start mistreating you then.
Right, exactly. So I went back and I said, I don't know how you do it here, but if you can't rate me on what I do, then we just need to let me have a bad evaluation, because that's not... I'm sorry, not happening.
Yeah, it's not a happening thing.
No.
Well, we can try again. Let's see. If it's wireless, I'll just hang up. Oh, a real person. Hi there.
Good evening, ladies.
Good evening.
Let me say I respect what you're doing tonight, and for those who don't and have seemingly a moral fortitude that's lacking, perhaps they need the military themselves to
exactly. See, I don't think kids should be afraid
for you, ladies, and in fact, I appreciate the topic. One topic that has really troubled me since the beginning of the war in Iraq is the fact that with the September 11th, the attacks on there, it seemed like the first day after it happened, Dick Cheney opened up his briefcase, handed President Bush a plan that they already had set in stone. Iraq, we were going to do it, despite whatever happened there, and September 11th conveniently came along, and suddenly we have a reason. And as President Bush said before the September 11th happened, I'm a war president. Well, guess what, folks? He needed a war.
Yeah.
And he's got one. Well, we had a plan for getting in there, had no plan for peace. It's just what his dad and the people from the former Gulf War situation, they all said, no thank you, we're not going to do it, because they saw what was coming. The question I have for you, and what I think one of the most disturbing things, is the lack of equipment, the lack.
That's what I was going to say. The body
the
armor.
lack
They didn't give them
concern. I mean, don't even get me started about Walter Reed in the hospital.
It's a guerrilla. Exactly. It's a guerrilla war, right?
Well,
so
you need
body armor
protection.
Yeah.
And when they first went over there, the Army had one flak vest for every 10 people. So whoever was on watch that night would get to wear the flak vest, and the other 9 would have to sleep
let's
without
draw
it.
straws.
Right.
Let's draw straws,
So,
and who gets to have the body armor?
Right.
That's
and
disgusting.
So how some of the guys were addressing it is they were calling home, Mom, I want you to go downtown to the gun shop, and I want you to buy me this vest and mail it to me in my next care package. So you had parents mailing flak vests to soldiers. And now a flak vest and armor are a little different. Flak vest just protects you from little projectiles. It's not bulletproof. A bulletproof vest is even more expensive because it actually stops, certain caliber of bullets.
Well, here's the point, and I tell you right now, believe it or not, folks, I'm on my knees right now watching your show because what really pains me the most.
Call our county commissioners if you like our show. You know what's going on.
Trust me,
they're going to take us.
Anyway,
they're going to take us off the air.
I'm with you, but here's the part that really just absolutely upsets me. I look at the fact that not only we've lost more than 3,600 men and women, we've got more than 20,000 people that are injured, and we're seeing injuries that we're not seeing before because we're able to get these people off the battlefield quickly. We're able to, and then yet the whole aftercare situations. You can do an entire show on that. But here's the key, folks. Like you said, the emails from the soldiers, the fact that they're only giving one flak jacket, vest for every 10. I literally, folks, I'm so surprised. You know what we need?
Halliburton gives their
people surround the White House
armor
and stand there and go, excuse me, we're spending $1 trillion. We're losing men and women on a war we should have never been in the first place. Yeah, that's another topic. But why aren't we? If we're going to do it right. Give these men. If I see one more shot of a man having to weld pieces of another blown up vehicle onto his own vehicle just so they can try to prevent the IUDs, which we all know is from Iran. That's yet another topic. But folks, my only statement I'm going to end you by saying,
the insurgents are from Saudi.
If we're going to do this, protect
They're not from
our men
Iran.
and women, support the troops, even if you don't support the war. And I appreciate your efforts tonight, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you for calling.
And actually, just to finish that up, one of the things he said is that they don't have the equipment because they cut the budget. So.
Yeah, let's skimp on the soldiers, but let's give money
to it's like me saying,
the consultants.
Hey, I'm going to fix your car, but I don't have a jack to do it. So do you think you could bend down, help me push it up with your back? Right. So so one of the things that happens when you don't have all these things like to protect you, and you still have to do your job, you don't feel like you are worthy.
That's what I was going to say. Your morale.
Yes.
Well, how is morale?
Morale is kind of like a cycle. The longer you've been there, the worse it gets. And we used to have like short time calendars where you kind of knew you would come home.
They're not giving you
R&R, but they keep extending it. Oh, we're going to let you stay. All right, you're only going to go for 3 months. Oh, we're going to keep you 6 months. Well, we're going to keep you. We might as well keep you here a year because you're here anyway. Well. There's family issues and you got to get home. Oh, honey, I'm going to be home in 3 months. Isn't that great? Oh, I'm sorry, they extended us 3 more months. Well, you have that whole thing on a morale issue. Then you're not protected, so you're scared crapless basically every day. So you don't really get a break. The R&R side of it, when the first Gulf War started, we didn't have email. We didn't have cell phones. They were just coming about technologically. So we would get one morale call a week. You get 10 minutes. Hi, how you doing? Blah, 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 right? And that was it. 7 days later, you get one more. Now at least you can have text messages. They usually have email terminals set up so when the soldiers come in, they can get caught up.
I read that soldiers were blogging.
Yes,
and
exactly.
But they stopped them from doing it.
Because they felt, what if we're in the middle of setting up an operation, and he blogs about our location and where we're going to go, and the enemy reads the blog. Well, in the first Gulf War, who the best CNN fan was Saddam Hussein. And they went on, I remember what Blitzer saying, hey, look
was
at all
it
this stuff.
Geraldo? Geraldo,
yeah,
he was out there.
They finally asked him and said, could you please not
here's a roadmap.
Advertise our location so we get blown up. And they did do that for a little bit when, before we had embedded reporters and all. But, if basically while you're over there, if the troops are like complaining or they're bitching about their the food stinks, I've got crotch rot, my feet are sore, I got sand in places they're not supposed to be.
They probably
sand.
get parasites and stuff like that too.
Parasites in the food, absolutely. You're sick. You get
I heard
fevers.
about the water in Iraq too.
So
that Halliburton didn't take care of.
You have to think about what they're doing above and beyond. And not everyone lives like that. Just so you know, there are actually people who base over there, and those watching that are in the Army are the ones who are truly bearing the brunt of that. And one of the things we used to do, like to entertain yourself.
Yeah. What do you do for fun over there with all the sand?
Well, there's not a lot, but there's scorpions that live in the sand. So when we were based in one area, we would actually go to there's little holes, and you fish with like little coffee straws until they pinch them, and you pull them out. Then we'd have scorpion fights on Friday night.
Michael Vick would enjoy that, wouldn't he?
So you'd have the little black scorpions that would only make you sick, but the little green ones would kill you. So you throw one of them in, and they would bite off the tail and stuff. But we found ways, and then there's the big camel spiders that they're like bigger than my hand actually, and
scary.
They're really nasty. They look like some movie horror.
Well, let's try to take a phone call. Then I'm going to talk about prostitutes, because we were talking about prostitutes earlier. Hello there.
I like prostitutes.
Okay, then you should go to one.
Okay, well,
then maybe you should join the service since you enjoy them so much.
I can't believe they hang on the line that long and say that.
It's so immature.
Try another one?
Well, okay, let's
go ahead. Try another one.
Hello there.
Hello?
Okay, he didn't sound right. I just had a bad feeling.
All right, go ahead.
It's private. Okay. Let's talk about the prostitutes.
Okay. One of the things that came out in the article you had mentioned is that when, and actually armies of old used to take prostitutes with them, Alexander the Great and such. But in modern day America, prostitution for the most part is not legal. So you would not necessarily have people who are in service who have a specialty that says, oh, hi, here's my medal, I'm a prostitute. So when you deploy, there's still the need for sex, and there's hormones, testosterone, estrogen, whatever. And what seems to happen is a lot of the places where we go, they will hire, third country nationals, basically. In Saudi, they hired a lot of Filipino women, and they are
so they
not
ship them
necessarily there to be prostitutes, but they're there as cooks, or they're there, as
is that their
service
cover?
agencies.
Is their cover?
Well, no, they actually do that too, but then on their time, their private time or whatever, they're spending making part-time income.
Are there male prostitutes too, or just female?
Well, actually, I don't know. I haven't ever met a male prostitute there, but I do know my friends that have been stationed in Korea. There are women who service women. So
really?
Yeah. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but not necessarily that they always go like men in prison. I'm not gay, right? And I just, okay. Well, women serving women, it seems to be less threatening than if you were going to get a male prostitute that may harm you. So
basically the government or the military just looks the other way.
Yes, they do, at least on that one. It's kind of like, unless you're doing something that's going to threaten the mission, on your off time, having sex with a prostitute that, would basically be legal prostitution there.
Now, what scares me, some of these men might be married men?
Yeah, and
do they use condoms? I mean, they might have HIV or something.
Yes, and actually,
tell us about that.
Think about that. When I would deploy in the first Gulf War, I did 5 tours in the Middle East. I would throw in a big case of condoms I'd get from the hospital, and I keep a basket by the tool room, so when they come to get their tools, they could grab a handful of condoms. And my basic premise was to them, I really can't afford you to get sick, and if you get venereal disease, you may not know you're sick, and then when I really need you and the bombs are flying and you have to work for me, then you may go down and we don't know what's wrong with you. So at least wear the raincoat, because the same woman you're with is probably with several hundred people a week.
Well, they're passed around, no doubt.
Yes. So, in Turkey they had a place called the Compound, which was women or men could have 5 wives in Turkey still under the Muslim law. So if they say they were caught embezzling,
sounds like the Mormons,
right? Well, no, it's worse because if a Muslim
Mitt
man
Romney
was, he was caught like embezzling, he could send one of his wives to prison for him.
Oh,
so,
really? Is that what they do?
Yeah. So
oh my God,
Turkey,
she takes the rap.
Right. So in Turkey, they use these women and then they prostitute them out for the length of their sentence. So a lot of these service members would visit the
I've never
compound.
heard of such a thing. My
yeah.
God.
No, it's Turkey. It's
wow.
Yeah. Different things. It's amazing my education.
You need to write a book.
I know.
Are you planning to do that?
Actually, I am. The title is going to be The Sisterhood of War, and I want to take some characters that are females kind of through from the Gulf War forward.
One thing I wanted to mention before we go, we only have like 15 minutes left. Lieutenant Colonel Heartsong is a professional artist too. She has lots of other talents, and she's going to be working, or you are working with, what is this, Describe World Peace?
Right. Describe World Peace is a nonprofit that we're establishing, and one of the things I found, at least in my world travels, is we may not all speak English on the planet. We may not all be able to communicate in verbiage, but we can communicate through art and pictures. And one of the things I'd like to do is open up to the world, basically. Not necessarily the children of the world, but I would like to focus on them, to give them an opportunity to even conceptualize what peace looks like and either draw it or photograph it and send it in as a contest. And then we would publish the actual pictures of everything and use that as to sell it, like say a coffee table book to fund Anita's Playgrounds for Peace. And what that is a program that, let's say after a war-torn area is safe, say over in Kosovo or Bosnia or something like that, we would sponsor playgrounds to be built in these neighborhoods so the children would have something to do.
That is so nice. Actually, what a great cause. So it's called DescribeWorldPeace.com if you want to find out more about it.
And we're still setting it up, so it's under construction.
No, that's great. Just wanted to mention.
Thank you.
Did you meet our Femme Forum monkey?
Yes. Yes.
He's back there, our Femme Forum monkey. Every week, we show him. We do have the phone ringing. I guess I could try. Hello? Hello there? You on the air? And he dropped off. Hello there?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air.
Okay, I'd like to speak to Joe.
Joe's not on tonight, no.
Do we look like Joe? See, I guess if we're in the county and Joe's show is in the city at the very same time, so they're calling the number and all that stuff. So whatever, we'll try again.
Try again.
It's not blinking. There it goes. Hello there.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi, you're on the air.
I had a comment, as I've heard this talking about the prostitutes in the military.
Yeah, we were talking about that. This is Lieutenant Colonel.
I tuned in late, so I only caught the tail end of what you were saying. When I was in the service, everybody would take R&R in the Philippines, and per capita, they have the most venereal diseases there are, and the government knows about it, and they don't care.
Right.
I mean, it's like they don't want to win a war. Our government don't want to win. We haven't won a war since World War II.
That's
that's
a good point.
Very valid.
We have kind of a bad track record, don't we?
Well, I guess the government feels if they can't thin the population with war, they'd rather hook you up with a prostitute and have you die of syphilis or some other disease.
Oh man! Bring it on home.
Now, I was going to say there's an issue there because if the service member picks up a venereal disease while they're deployed, then what happens is they come home and they may pass it on to their spouse, and then their spouse winds up getting sick.
There goes the marriage.
Right, the marriage may go, not to mention illness and such like that. But yes, venereal disease has been around since the military's been around, and that's why I told my guys that they really needed to use condoms.
And
they have to understand too. Everybody's always trying to crack down on prostitution and so forth and so on, but you have to realize one thing: it's the oldest profession in the world, and it's always going to be available for men and women. I can tell you personally, 15 years ago, I helped out in an escort service. Male prostitutes were called escorts.
There you go. Absolutely.
So women do have it available to them too. So it's the oldest profession in the world, and the way the economy is, you can't blame anybody for making a buck today.
Well, yeah. Look at Iraq. I mean, it's war torn. What do you do for a living? You sell your body.
Right.
Well, no, you collect money from the United States that's handed over tooth and nail. But they've lost how many billions of dollars of American money? It's sitting all over.
Yeah, I read about that.
They come here and open up a gas station.
Yes.
Well, you ladies have a good night. I enjoyed
Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, call the county commissioners.
Yes.
You know, they're trying to get rid of us. So
now, one of the things we didn't talk about is actually sex between service members.
Okay, let's talk about that. Are there a lot of affairs?
Yes,
or,
I would say
bed hopping.
I would say that there again, it's cross section of America. So some women would go over and use it to benefit themselves. I had one young lady in Turkey who came home with like all this jewelry. She looked like Mr. T.
Wow.
Because instead of being paid for sex, she was, I really like that jewelry, and if you bought it for her, she would have sex with you. So
hey, at least they're generous.
Yeah. So the key was,
I have a bracelet.
Where did you have sex? Because you're not supposed to have men in women tents. You're not supposed to have women in men tents. So there was always some, the trysting involved of where do you actually get together to actually have sex. But it does go on.
So they're rolling around in tents at night? That's what they're doing? I mean, you don't have much privacy,
sometimes in the dirt and the ground outside.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's wherever. It's
forever.
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
I think
you don't have any privacy, really. I mean, people could hear it too.
Yeah, and sometimes it depends whether or not punishment is there. Like, well, let's say it's diminishing the capability of the unit. It's very easy to call a woman a slut.
And there could be a love triangle going on.
Exactly.
That would complicate.
Then guys would fight over, right? So, it's very easy to just say, oh, she's the slut, she's the whore. But it takes two to do that process.
Well, like the England girl.
Yes.
The England girl, Lindy England, with Abu Ghraib, she's the one who got charged. Of course, we know the orders came from above to do these things, but she was pregnant too, right?
Right. Well, now some of what she did, that was kind of like we were talking about. Some personalities go a little bit too far when given, a leadership role or authority role. So some of the pictures where she was actually sitting on top of men, that would be huge humiliation in the Muslim.
Big time.
Right. So I would say, again, I don't know all the facts on that one, but that was probably pushing the limits of what should have been done there.
Well, I read a lot of the people that were interrogating were not actually soldiers. They were paid consultants, your KBR type people or whatever.
And torture could have, been used. Now, again, going back to Gulf War, Saddam used torture routinely, very cruelly with the Kuwaitis, especially. Car batteries leads to the testicles or to genitals or to the nipples. Pulling teeth out, pulling fingernails off, kind of the stuff you would see on movies.
Well, now we do waterboarding now. Don't we?
So I would say, if you think of the torture side, the other side is not always evil, and we're not always good. So when you're in...
So there's bad apples.
Yes, exactly. Okay. And when you're in the throes of trying to get information that may save hundreds of lives, sometimes I think they push the barrier of what is considered fair or righteous.
Well, I think McCain said that he was against the torture because you get sometimes bad information. Some people will say anything just to stop the torture.
If you beat someone long enough, you say whatever. Yeah, absolutely. So I again would say, that the whole torture thing goes back to a moral
Let's see, we have maybe about 10 more minutes.
Okay.
Let's say, the phone is ringing. If it's private or whatever, we won't take it. Hello there.
Don't hang.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh,
Don't
God.
hang up on me.
Sorry. Call back. Okay. Hello there.
Hey there. How do I get on the line to speak to Joe?
Oh, you should tell him it's another show.
Okay. Call back, Julius. I'm waiting for you to call back, okay? I saw there. That's
there
probably
you
him.
Go.
Let's see.
Okay.
It needs to blink. Blink. There it goes. There. I'm sorry about that. You understand all the prank calls we've been getting. I'm sorry. I was a little bit too
fast.
A little too quick with a finger. I'm getting paranoid.
Okay. Listen, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Listen,
you active?
No, I'm retired now.
Why you didn't speak out before this now?
Well, I was actually working all the time. Why why didn't I speak out like on TV, or why didn't I speak out?
Well, they don't have TV cameras there.
They got CNN. They got.
Oh, we're not allowed to. We're not allowed to do that. No, while we're in uniform, you're not allowed to go on and.
Well, you should have ended your career and spoke out.
Well, I did end my career last June. I retired after 20 years, and now I'm speaking.
You ever seen a general start a war and retire? Tommy Franklin.
Oh, yeah, Tommy Franklin.
He started the war and retired. Never in the history
he bailed.
A general, a 5-star, 4-star general,
that's a good point.
Started a war and retired. Not even down through the Roman days. Okay? And y'all talking about prostitutes.
That's a weasel.
Prostitute been around. They've been serving the soldiers since Egypt.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably
Since
true.
there's been soldiers.
Everybody would need to be real here. This ain't nothing doing it for them to get prostitute for the servicemen. They've been doing it through the Roman days. Okay? They bring the women to the soldiers. Okay? They got to keep them happy.
Right,
they're stressed out.
Keeps them from fighting.
We talking about what prostitute. Look at that bridge in Minnesota.
Oh yeah, the devastation today.
The War Department just said the other day, when this war is over in Iraq and in our Afghanistan, $1,600,000,000,000.
Right.
Well, that's what it's gonna cost.
It's a lot of
The military is
just
expensive. Yeah, the military is expensive to suit them out when they're at war. You know, it's one thing when you're at peace.
It should have never happened, ma'am.
Yeah. So when you think if you're going to do it, you should do it right, and like suit it up, in, out, be done. Right.
That's where the money should have been spent. I am tired of bleeding heart people going around. You got these generals all on these CNN and fucking network talking all that crazy talk.
There's a big protest, Julius. There's a big protest in September.
We had inspectors in Iraq.
Right, we did.
We had inspectors in there.
Yes, we did have inspectors in there. And
Constitution don't allow no president. This is not a monarch. This is not a monarch.
Well, who do you think you're going to vote for president for in this coming election?
I'm tired of voting for everybody.
No, don't give up. We have to keep our vote.
I am a Democrat, a liberal Democrat, but I'm tired of voting.
You need to.
Kerry let his voters hanging.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that we get some new candidates on that would actually.
We need to change the whole Congress and the Senate.
Right, that would have some backbone to stick up for what is right versus what's their career.
It's for the people of the people. It's not for no one man and his cronies.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we only have like a few minutes left, so.
Hold on, before you cut me off. If
Julius.
people march on Washington, they're gonna keep up with their mess, okay?
Okay.
Good.
Thank you. All right. Because we're getting down to the wire. They're 2.5 minutes. I want to thank you first of all.
My
Lieutenant
pleasure.
Colonel Kim Heartsong. We've been emailing each other.
Thank you.
I couldn't wait to meet you. And of course, I always want to thank everybody that's here that puts on the show.
Yes.
We've got Mark Ferguson, Joaquin Pezuela, Mark Nash, Max Griffin-Maya. We have a great crew of people. And please call the commissioners to save public access, because we're giving you uncensored, unfiltered news the way it should be. Straight from the horse's mouth, really. I mean, you're telling us like how it really is.
Valid opinion.
You're not going to see this on CNN.
No,
a soldier telling you this. I mean, they're not going to be talking about prostitutes and stuff. You know it.
Yes.
So you all need to either email, go to hillsborocounty.org, or telephone the commissioners. There's going to be a big meeting in September 5th. And also mid-September, there's going to be a huge war protest, people. We need to quit being sheep. So what would you like to say? How would you like to end the show?
Well, I would just like to thank those that are watching it that appreciate that they have free speech. I served for 20 years, so you have free speech. I always was very conscious that what I was doing was to help America stay free. And one of the best things we have is our diversity. Even though we disagree, we have the ability to vote. We have the ability to change the leaders in office, even though sometimes it seems insurmountable, just one person. But I do thank you for watching Public Access. I would hope that you would fight for this to stay open. And I would challenge you to get out there, vote, and help put people in office that would follow through on their promises, but keep them accountable.
Would do their job, which is to serve the people and not the corporations.
Yes, exactly.
That's what we want.
Hard to do.
So keep watching. We'll see you guys next week, and save public access. All right.
I think you should wear a tie.
Dad, nobody wears ties to school.
Tie says you're serious. It'll make a good impression. And remember, you're there to study,
to learn, and to make something of myself. I got it.
Almost half of all UNCF students are the first in their family to go to college.
They have some great architecture classes.
Dad, I'm not really interested in architecture.
Well, keep your options open. And remember, no girls until your
my work is done.
And I'd make sure that I got my lunch.
Dad, you're not going. I am.
I know.
Listen, we better get going. Don't want to be late the first day, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And when you're the first to go, you're going for a lot of people. The United Negro College Fund.